Ya tú sabes.
Nítido, estamos aquí, otro podcast del momento, sí, la introducción, y ya ustedes están hartos de vernos con lo mismo. Vamos a tener una entrevista con otro invitado ya extranjero, como hemos hecho un par de episodios. Básicamente, él se va a presentar, va a decir a qué se dedica, le haremos un par de preguntas. Y pues va a ser en inglés, pero va a tener los subtítulos en español.
Sí.
Entonces, tú
Hoy
quisieras...
hoy le vamos a traer a Saeed, que está relacionado con Jump Crypto y Pyth Network. Y nada, dale, empieza, negro.
Perfect. So, up to you, Saeed, to do an introduction. Just let us know who you are, what do you do, and just let's go from there.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I'm Saeed. I work at Jump Crypto. I focus on strategic projects and strategic partnerships. So working with a lot of different ecosystem players and protocols and teams. One of the things that I've been doing for a long time is contributing to the Pyth Network, working closely with that team. Super excited to be on today.
Perfect. Can you tell us more in depth about your role at Pyth? I mean, we know about the name, but like a specific tasks and stuff that you normally do for other people to understand deeply.
So I really help the Pyth team on a kind of like advisory capacity, just kind of helping them with strategy, BD, pretty much any and everything they ask for. I think that's what this space is all about, contributing to different projects and different types of open source technologies. I think what Pyth has been able to build over the last year and a half is pretty amazing. They've been able to create real network effects in things that are pretty hard to create networks in. So whether that's TradFi, whether that's data, whether that's cross-chain, or even infrastructure, like they've been able to create these networks, and I've been lucky to know the team for a long time and work closely with them.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a more personal question. I have been seeing you like in the Solana space for 2 years now. I don't know. I want to know like what's your background? How did you get into Solana, into Jump, and all that stuff?
Yeah. So I mean, I got into crypto really early. I guess relatively early to some people. I think I bought my first Bitcoin in 2011. Kind of been following this space since then. I didn't actually work in crypto until, a little under 2 years ago. What I focused on mainly was Web 2. So I'd founded 2 startups, kind of working on my own projects, my own companies. Coincidentally, one of those startups was focused on data and data aggregation. It was really focused on kind of aggregating local business data and listing data, providing these data sets to companies. It's not so different than crypto though, because the reason why we kind of built that product and built that data set was because we were hoping that other people would build on top of it apps like Foursquare or Yelp or Google Maps. And so we wanted to be a data provider for anyone who wanted to build a new application, consumer or enterprise, using the data set. It's not very dissimilar from how crypto is today, where you build a piece of infrastructure or you open source some code or you build a primitive and you hope that other people use it to create more value for users. So that's what I did, kind of until maybe when COVID was starting. And then I realized that like, look, this crypto thing isn't a passing fad for me. Like I've been interested in it for almost a decade. And you know, I was increasingly getting excited about this space, especially watching DeFi summer unfold, watching kind of the bar get higher and higher in terms of what a crypto project was delivering. And so I just knew that, it's time to take another risk. Starting your own business is a risk, but getting into a completely new industry professionally is a different type of risk. Especially one as nascent as crypto. So yeah, I just knew that it wasn't a passing fad and was like, look, this is what I've been interested in for a long time. I do fundamentally believe that there's a lot of really cool technology being built. How can I do that in the best way possible where I can maximize the amount I learn and I can maximize the amount of impact I can have. And so, Jump was definitely miles ahead of any other kind of, project that I would join or company that I would join, mainly because Jump was transitioning into being a full-fledged builder in the space, right? Like contributing to so many open source projects, really investing in R&D and investing in infrastructure that was necessary to kind of bring this crypto future that we were all kind of thinking about for so long. And so that's what really drew me to Jump. And yeah, the past 2 years have been great. Definitely, seeing you guys around the Solana ecosystem. I love it. I love the fact that Jump, that you can kind of you can work on many different things. And you can also work within many different ecosystems. So it is somewhat chain agnostic. So I can meet people from the Ethereum world or from the L2 world or from, Cosmos. But, Solana definitely has been a great place for me to kind of build really great friendships and really great partnerships. It is, in my opinion, the second most active blockchain today, behind Ethereum, and I don't think it's a far second. I think it's pretty active if you look at the amount of projects that are being launched, the quality of the teams, the complexity of the products that are leveraging that underlying technology. Right, they're really taking advantage of cheap and fast transactions. So it's an exciting place to have been over the last 2 years.
Great. That's awesome. So you spoke a little bit there that you guys are not just looking at Solana, looking everywhere else. So what will be your stance on interoperability of blockchains at the moment? Do you think that's a viable future that we're moving into? Is just going to be one king and everybody else is just going to submit?
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing is to see how the space has changed over the last 6, maybe 8 months. I think if you were to ask someone 6 months ago, what do you think of blockchain interoperability? Number one, they would have said what? What do you mean? And then number two, they would have been I don't know, I'm building this protocol, it's on ETH, or I'm building this protocol, it's on Polygon. And that's all I'm thinking about. That's all I'm worried about. I think over the last 6 months, you've seen a material change in the way that teams are building, right? They are thinking cross-chain first, even before they've launched. And even the teams that have launched, a year, 2 years ago, are all working on cross-chain strategies. So, to me, it's a given that this is going to be a cross-chain world, and that interoperability between blockchains is something that is happening. To me, it's not even a question of is this going to happen? It's already happening. Every team I talk to is either building something that is utilizing some sort of cross-chain capability, or architecting, thinking, designing, road mapping, a future outside of the ecosystem that they're natively built on. And I think that's just it's insane how fast this industry moves, where you can have these paradigm shifts in terms of how people build in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I agree. And regarding that interoperability, is Pyth already prepared, or has his mindset on that? And what do you think it's like? Because we have a lot of oracles at the moment. What does Pyth brings to the table?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this is something that I've said a lot before. I give a lot of credit to the Pyth team and for being ahead of the curve, right? I think they started building cross-chain, architecting a cross-chain solution for Pyth almost a year ago, or maybe even a little bit more than a year ago, before anyone was really doing it, before anyone was really doing it in a very legitimate way. They knew that they wanted to architect an Oracle design that can be utilized on many, many chains, right? So I give them a lot of credit for doing that early. And now they're ready, right? Like if you've been watching the most recent announcements, it's kind of insane. Like they're launching across all EVMs over the next like 3 weeks. Like this is a like unheard of pace for any product to launch multiple chains, right? And this is a product that isn't just launching like EVMs, for example. They're also ready to launch across Cosm Wasm. They're working with Injective Protocol on launching on their app chain. They've announced BNB. They have, it's pretty incredible to be able to kind of say, hey, like we've built such a robust solution, and we can launch 8-9 chains over the matter of a couple of weeks. So I think I give a lot of credit to the Pyth team for kind of jumping on that early and seeing where the puck was going. And they've been extremely successful in terms of like launching in these ecosystems with integrations, people already excited, wanting to integrate Pyth, right? Like if you take BNB, for example, which they launched last week, they launched with Venus, the #1 borrow lending protocol. It's actually, I think, the #1 TVL protocol on BNB. It's like, last time I checked, maybe like 500 million in TVL. So like, that's a huge resounding kind of proof point for me that signals that there's real demand from people who are building products to use this type of technology, right? This critical piece of infrastructure, which is an Oracle, right? And I think a lot of that has to do with how Pyth has designed their Oracle, how Pyth aggregates data and provides it on chain, how and the quality of the data that's actually going to the end user here. And so, if you've been watching kind of Pyth's tech journey, you see, you kind of feel like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? Like they've invested so much in terms of building this modern type of Oracle, an Oracle that can support institutions, that can support all different flavors of DeFi. And so yeah, Pyth's going cross chain. Like over the next like couple of weeks, you're just going to see all these announcements, right? Like you can already, if you're looking at the code base, you can see where they're going. Like it's definitely something that's amazing to me.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and I think, as you said, you have been taking logical steps to get to the point you're right now going and developing, and I would like to ask, knowing what has been the background, where we are standing now, then the logical next question will be, what's the future? Not just for Pyth, but for the whole ecosystem and crypto as a whole. What do you think will be the future that holds? What's the next step to make sure that we're going into that right direction?
I mean, I think there's a lot of things, right? I think everyone in crypto is waiting for more regulatory clarity. I think once we achieve that, and I do think it's like when, not if, like at some point we'll get regulatory clarity. And I think that's going to be another boon for the industry, where people understand what they can and can't do. Consumers are protected in the ways that make sense. And builders are confident that they can kind of build this future, right? So I think that could be a massive catalyst to the entire industry, right? It is just getting that regulatory clarity, especially in the U.S. Apart from that, I think a lot of the R&D efforts that different pockets of crypto have been working on for many years is starting to kind of bear fruit. One of those definitely being kind of the ZK zero knowledge proof world, starting to actually build L1s based on it, build L2s on it. We at Jump, we have a pretty awesome ZK initiative. They've been competing in the Z Prize. There's a bunch of major institutions that are supporting that type of competition. And you're starting to finally see things that are actually not just research, they're not just academic. They're actually starting to get to a stage where they can be commercialized, they can be productized, they can be used in production and deployed. And I think that is super important and can be a huge catalyst for growth because, that specific, part of the industry is really a scaling solution, right? And that's one of the biggest limiting factors. Like crypto has been so popular, whether it's Solana or whether it's on Ethereum or anywhere else, it's been so popular. It's grown so fast that it's bumped up against the ceiling in terms of being able to support that growth and that demand. And so that's a good problem to have. That's what they call like a high-class problem. But it's also a very real problem if it persists, right? You have to be working towards solutions. And so having good technological breakthroughs in these spaces, I think is important and, can drive that type of growth. So.
Yeah, cool. Also, Saeed, I wanted to ask you, we haven't talked about the Mango hack. I don't know if you can go into it and give some details. We know there's been some oracles not involving Pyth that got, exploit or something, and the hacker took the advantage of an oracle. How the projects can prevent this in the future? Do you want to get some information into that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, look, I was an outside observer just like everybody else, but the one thing that I do have confirmation on is that Mango was not using the Pyth Oracle for the MNGO price feed for the MNGO perp. That's been confirmed. The Mango team confirmed that several times. I think that particular exploit is, it's perceived as an Oracle hack, or an Oracle exploit when it really isn't. It's largely a preventable type of situation on the protocol side, on the protocol design side, not really on the Oracle side. And I say that, with the utmost respect to the Mango team. They may be the single most valuable team on Solana, certainly top five. In terms of just awesome people, awesome human beings, well regarded by everyone. The amount of contribution that they've done to move DeFi on Solana is incredible. These are one of the first builders on this blockchain. They've gone through it all. With that being said, an incredibly phenomenal team. I don't think anyone was happy to see that happen over this past week. We all reached out. I reached out saying, if you need any help, just want to stress how good of a team this is and how great the two founders and the entire team really are to work with. And I think, you saw it on Twitter, the amount of people who came out in support of them has been incredible because they legitly are great builders. So that aside, I think it's mainly look, you can't really accept illiquid types of collateral. That's a huge risk, especially if you have that borrow lending component as part of your or that model as part of your protocol, right? That's the simple thing here, because you're basically allowing someone that the ability to easily inflate the price of something and then borrow against it. So, obviously, if you are very, very conscious of your, if you're very, very conscious of your, the type of collateral that you accept, that can really, really help you. There's also other things that Pyth helps with in this type of scenario. It may not prevent it 100%, but things like the confidence interval, which is something that Pyth provides with all of its price updates or price aggregates, which is basically just the conviction metric for that price. So like, let's say 10 publishers, 10 data providers give you, the Solana price at $30. Each one is going to tell you how confident they are in that price, right? They say, I think it's $30 plus or minus $1. Another guy plus or minus 50 cents. Like that plus or minus metric is what we call the confidence interval. And that can be used really, that can be used by teams to kind of protect against certain types of things, right? So you could see like, hey, if something's happening, if you have 10 publishers and one market is going crazy, let's say someone is attacking that market, right? They're trying to artificially make the price higher or lower. That will be reflected in the confidence interval because the conviction metric there is going to be very high. The confidence bands for the Pyth price feed will be very wide. So it'll be $30 plus or minus $10. It'd be like, wow, that's a huge range, right? It's either 40 or
something
$20.
is not adding up.
Yeah. So if you see something like that, you as a protocol builder can kind of like look and say, like, all right, I'm going to have my program put in some logic that kind of checks and says, okay, if this thing widens out, don't use the price and just wait until it becomes something more normal, right? So you can get creative with how you use Pyth data, right? The main thing that's important is that you have a source or kind of this like modern architected oracle that can provide you with these types of things. And I think that's something that Pyth's designed to do. And, from speaking with a bunch of teams throughout the ecosystem, like that's been something that everyone is really, really happy about. We get you just get a lot of people, kind of coming up to you and saying like, dude, that's why I like that, right? That you're able to get these other, kind of types of data that can help increase security, decrease risk on the DeFi protocol you're building. And you can be as creative as you want, right? You also have like an EMA price that Pyth publishes, which also would help in this situation because it wouldn't fluctuate as quickly. It wouldn't be as susceptible to one market getting attacked. So there's a bunch of ways, right? But yeah, like that's basically like my understanding of the situation. Again, I'm an observer like everyone else. That's my assessment of it. I don't think it was particularly an Oracle thing. I think it was more of like probably not the best collateral, to be able to borrow like all the TVL against.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and that's good that you give not just the explanation of what you think, your perspective, but also how Pyth can help out with all the data. Because although not a lot of people is talking about this in that sense, there's always the comment on the street, let's call it that way, that some of the messages about the hack are just messages trying to help and ease the situation. So it's good when people that are more involved or close to, even as observers like you, to how these unfold, can give an explanation, a different perspective, so people understand that, hey, this is a great team. Mango team has been doing a great job, and it was just an opportunity, and it was exploited, right? It's not like we're trying to cover it up. We're not trying to just tell BS to other people out there and sell a dream. It's just what happened. It is what it is.
Yeah, I wanted to leave that clear because there's been some big drama on Twitter about oracles and stuff, and it's just nonsense, most of them. So.
Yeah. Maybe it's just a bear market effect.
Yeah, exactly. And then I would add this, like the Pyth has a really good way of adding symbols. So like maybe 6 months ago, I don't know exactly when. You'd have to ask like someone on Pyth, but like there was a point in time. I think it was like a little bit after. I remember learning about it during the Pyth event in Chicago, at the Solana Hacker House that was in Chicago. But that's when they were working on the like revamping the reliability testing for adding symbols to Pyth. And so they have like a whole suite of testing that they do before they even add a new symbol now, right? Mango is obviously like a grandfathered, token from the beginning, early days of Solana DeFi. But I would say everything after that, like, goes through at least on the Pyth side. I don't know on Switchboard or some of the other oracles, but at least on Pyth they have very stringent like reliability requirements before adding a symbol. Because I've had protocols come to me and say, hey, can we get on Pyth? Like, can you connect this to the Pyth team? And so like it's always been the same conversation, which is like there needs to be X amount of sources, like there needs to be a diverse enough amount of sources where the Pyth where the feed will be stable. And then there's also like a series of checks in terms of like in the markets that this symbol is listed, what are the liquidity levels and what they've looked like over time. And they do that over like weeks, right? And so like that's another component here where it's like, if there isn't an Oracle price feed from like a legitimate, Oracle, people can always get the price, people can just spin up their own Oracle. But, it's good for people to know that at least on the Pyth side, that there is this kind of process that these things go through before they get listed now. Some people want oracles to list everything and provide an Oracle price for everything. That's not really safe because you wanna know that the Oracle is doing all of the due diligence that's necessary. It's never going to be 100%, but it's actually taking all of the meaningful steps and like thinking very, very thoughtfully about, hey, can I actually add the symbol? Like, for me, I think Pyth has a pretty good process and regimen for doing that.
Good. Oh, that's perfect.
Come on, Saeed, give us some alpha. Let us know when's the Pyth token coming.
Man, like that's the alpha that I want to know too, man. I want to know when it's coming too. I've been bullish for so long, just like a lot of people in the community. I don't know. For me, it's like I'm excited because I'm gonna get to meet the entire Pyth team while I'm in Lisbon for Breakpoint. So I think I'm gonna corner them there. If you're there too, we'll go together. We'll corner them at Breakpoint and see if they can give us a date. But yeah, I'm excited for it, just like you are.
Nice. Good. It has been a good conversation. I think we can all agree here that the way we showed people how Pyth and all the things that you do as a person impact the ecosystem is just a nice way to show it. There's a good balance between the technical side of things and the human side of things, which is something that we try to do in this podcast, not just a little rambling about the technicalities, but also making sure that people understand at a ground level, okay, this is what X person or X team is doing, and this is how they impact and help the whole crypto market in one way or another. So we appreciate your time. I know we had some difficulties throughout the day to make it happen, but we did it. We tried to get the alpha. We're close to. We're going to make it happen one way or another. Good. So thank you. So thank you again for that.
Thank you for having me, man. This has been awesome. And when am I going to see you guys in person?
I'm going to Lisbon, so
you have a couple tickets left for the Solana Breakpoint.
Greg is looking into that.
We'll get you a Breakpoint ticket for sure.
Yeah, good. If I can get that ticket, I'll be there.
Major.
Done.
Deal. This is live on the podcast. I got my ticket live on the podcast. Good. That's happy to hear, man. Again, if you see a couple Spanish words, we're like closing out now. Don't freak out. It's just me telling people, hey, just follow us and all that stuff.
All right, man. Do your thing. Thanks,
Perfect.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Sigan el podcast. Estamos hartos de decirle que nos sigan en las redes.
Trayéndole
Metan
gente de
mano,
proyecto
díganme,
importante.
¿quién invita gente de Jump a su podcast?
Cojan ahí.
Googleen ahí Jump
O
Investments.
Pyth.
Esa
Y
gente mueve, bueno.
Un par de
no-
pesos. Un par de pesos. Y le dimos la alfa del Solana Breakpoint. Se están acabando la taquilla. Yo manga la mía, pero se están acabando la taquilla. Después no digan que no le dimos el alfa. Ya es que se va a dar el verdadero movimiento.
Ya tú sabes.
Ya ustedes saben.
Cuídense.
Hablamos después.